The purpose of scientific management aligns with the purpose of management itself, which is to maximize efficiency and effectiveness and to get work done through others. Scientific management employs a scientific method in which scientists observe phenomenon and then create hypotheses to explain this phenomenon. They then test the hypothesis and then achieve results from these tests. If these results are favorable, then the scientists will apply the hypothesis to a new series of tests. If not, the scientists will create a new hypothesis to make up for the mistakes. Principles of scientific management. So, the Gilberts were a couple in the industrial era that owned a bricklaying firm. In order to maximize the efficiency of their employees, they started a series of tests where they would document somebody laying bricks from a pile into a wall and spraying the mortar on it and everything. And they added a bunch of variations to see how this could most quickly be done. One thing that they did is they put a table so that the person wouldn't have to bend over as far. And these are known as motion studies, and they really encapture the first principle of scientific management, which is to develop a science for each line of work. The next principle of scientific management is to scientifically hire and train employees. So in this case, you're hiring people that are good at their jobs based on their knowledge and skill requirements, not necessarily because of the fact that they're your son or your niece or your grandma or sister. The next principle of scientific management is to cooperate with employees. Prior to the invention of scientific management, the relationship between employers and employees was very antagonistic. Each was trying to take advantage of each other. Workers would try not to work as hard. They would employ things like soldiering, where they would set a rate and nobody was allowed to go over it. And managers wouldn't treat their workers well. If the workers wanted higher wages, they would not allow their workers to strike. And if the workers did strike, they would just fire all the workers and hire new workers. The last principle of scientific management is that managers and workers should split the labor. This allows the managers to focus on what they're good at and the workers to focus on what they're good at, and really maximizes efficiency. The purpose of our experiment is to see how fast a stock person can stock items on a shelf. So we had 4 methodologies. Our control group was kind of like our excuse me, first day on the job. You kind of scrambling to get the job done. The boxes on the floor, all the cups are scrambled, and you don't really know quite how to do your job. So, and then trial 1, the manager steps in and says, "Hey, maybe we put our cups in groups of 3 and we put them, and the box is still on the ground, but we put the cups on the shelf in groups of 3. And then in trial 2, a different variation is maybe we don't organize the cups in groups of 3, but instead we put the box on a table so that we're minimizing our movement." And then trial 3 is really a synthesis of both of these. The cups are in groups of 3, and as in trial 1, and in trial 2, they also start on a box in the table. So the hypothesis that we had prior to this test is that trial 3 would be the fastest because it requires the least movement because you're just moving the table, and that there would be less time between placement of cups because instead of placing 1 cup at a time, you're placing 3 cups at a time.